Yes, I do identify as European. Within that I identify as Hungarian, and European is a sort of secondary identifier for me. One of the most iconic moments in my life where I really experienced what it is to be a member of the European Union, what it is to be a citizen living inside the European Union, and what it is to actually be able to enjoy the rights which are related to being a citizen of the European Union. Was when I moved to the United Kingdom to start my undergraduate and then later my postgraduate studies. And it was rather shocking to experience that moving a few thousand miles from your hometown basically was not followed by any sort of ties or restrictions or limitations. Nobody asked where you are going, where you're coming from, why you here. It was simply like moving within your country to another town and starting an education there. So I think that was something very stunning and very shocking. Well, I think in general terms, what many people would think regarding the current state of the European Union is to be weak. Is basically the result of an accumulation of events and processes in recent European history. I think sort of the avalanche of consequences which were initiated by the rise of the migration question in 2015 was something which brought to light many structural weaknesses and many problematics within the European Union and the institutions, the individual institutions that make up the European Union. I think that was a moment where many people who were idealistic and sort of perhaps a little how to say, less careful when talking positively about the European Union realize that, well, this is something to think about. If a structure like the European Union cannot in a way, in a necessary or I don't know, an adequate way react to such an enormous global challenge, then you have to question whether the European Union still exists as a global power, or has it ever been a global power, and will it ever be a global power again? I am personally sympathetic with the efforts of the Balkan countries, the West Balkans, to enter the European Union, and then therefore the entrance of Croatia into the European Union in 2013 was, I think, a big victory, both for Central Europe and both for those countries who are aspiring to become members. I do think that the Western Balkans, Montenegro, Serbia, and Macedonia, for example, they represent some of the core features of what it is to be European, and therefore their place should be considered self-explanatory, their membership. And so the ascension of Croatia did, I think, bring to light some sort of hope that this Western Europe-centric European Union may receive the balance that it ought to have between East and West and between North and South. Well, I think the European Union has opened up my home country. It has provided, and I think Hungarians longed to be part of the European Union because they longed to be considered European again. And I think Hungarians never forgot that they are at their core and at their heart, I think, central to Europe. Hungary has been in Europe and has been shaping Europe for more than a millennium. And I think after 45 years of being completely isolated from ancient Europe, so to speak, being a member of the European or becoming a member of the European was a sign and was the re-entrance into a united Europe. And therefore, I think what I personally gained from this is that I had the chance to grow up as part of a generation of Hungarians who already experienced this unity and this ability to have your vision, cross into territories which once were absolutely shut off. Thinking about my parents and grandparents' generation, and therefore what I received from the European Union was actually the ability to look further than the boundaries of my home country. My vision of Europe belongs to the camp which thinks about Europe as a strong unity of nation states, strong states, and therefore perhaps if we talk about what the Europeans should achieve, we should think about what member states should achieve. And one of the great challenges is that what member states want is what member states are given the legitimacy to do by the people is not and has not been reflected in at the highest levels of European politics, and I think that has given rise to a lot of dissent and a lot of political turmoil in past years. So what I'd like to see by 2030 is that European institutions reflect truthfully the will of the people. And one of the things that I would like to see and what I'd like the European Union to achieve is to be more loyal to the founding documents of the Union. And what I mean primarily by this is to return the European Council to its former central position, and to return the European Commission to its extremely vital but non-political role of being the guardian of the founding documents and the founding principles, and not not the one who sets the directions for the Union. And in this way, sovereignty and democracy can actually be really put back in its real purity into the heart of European institutions. And so that's one thing I like to see going ahead until 2030. And another thing is perhaps to in one way or another to bridge the cultural and civilizational gap between East and West of Europe. I think we in Central and Eastern Europe have had a very different historical journey, and I think with all the terrible difficulties and torment, I think it has taught us a lot, and I would like to see that by 2030 we are able to actually share this and to be welcomed in Europe with an attentiveness to our journey and to our historical experience, because I think there's a lot that we could teach Eastern Europe, Western Europe, which would actually be to the benefit of Western Europe, and would actually strengthen the resilience of Western European societies facing very actual global trends and global challenges. So what I'd like to see is to actually, to have a process of learning from each other, from East and West, and that'd be something which would actually strengthen cohesion within the Union.